Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about modern stadiums and talking about the negative and positive effects they've had on society and how they're changing today. Here I have Sushant and here I have Lorenzo, and I'm Andrew, the commentator. So, Lorenzo, what do you think of how has the stadiums changed?
Yeah, I think it's a very good change for the clubs because they can implement inside of it different features, like for example, better seating to permit to fans to have a better view of the field and the players inside of it. They can increase their safety inside of it and also develop some eco-credential features and stuff inside of it. For example, inside the Juventus Stadium, they save some parts of the old stadium and they save a lot of money thanks to it. Also, they can implement a lot of different technologies features, like for example apps that can deliver your ticket and you don't have to print it, or for example augmented reality and virtual reality. For example, a very good move is done by Bayern Monaco, Bayern Munich, because thanks to the AR, through the application they have the possibility to, the fans have the possibility to take a picture with their favorite football players in every place of the world. And also the new stadium can create a better atmosphere, also through the crowd, but also thanks to the different implementation, for example LED, music, lights, light show during the art time. So I think the new stadium is a very good chance for all the clubs in Europe and in the world.
But with all these new features in the stadium, don't you think it's going to be cost effective for them?
Yeah, I think it will be very, very expensive for the club, but it's an investment for them. And I think in the future, every club will have an own stadium, and thanks to this, they will be able to monetize it and have a nice return on investment on it.
I hear you just done a presentation on the San Siro. Do you have any features that you recommended to implement there?
Yeah, for example, we have different features regarding the fan experience. One of them, I think one of the most beautiful and interesting, is the possibility for fans to buy a part of the stadium, a part of a tile or a part of a locker room, and they can increase their belongings to the club.
And Sushan, what are your views on this?
I feel that the fans that go to the stadium, they more often go for an experience. True, but the experience is in the context of football and the game. Fans would want to go there, enjoy the game, they want to support their team. They're not, the core fans, the old traditional football fans, they haven't been going there to buy a beer or grab a sandwich. They're more often going there to experience the game. They're going there to experience the football. Over the years, we have seen there have been new stadiums coming up. There have been a lot of investment being done, but at the same time, it also results in a lot of hefty ticket prices. For example, lately the Spurs Stadium, they unveiled a new stadium, but unfortunately for the fans, the starting price range for them was €800 and up for the season's ticket.
Do you know how much it was before the new stadium was unveiled?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere around 500 to €600.
So about 300 increase.
Yeah, around 250 to 300 was the ticket price that was increased. So that's a big drastic change. Plus, when you have now the new stadiums coming up, let's take the examples of Spurs again. They had to move to Wembley Stadium, and because of that, they were not in their home environment, or they were not in their hostile pitch or the environment in which they have been used to playing. So it takes a toll on the team as well, that they have to play their games in a different stadium for quite a considerable period of time. So I think, yes, there is a lot of experience and new technology involved, but at the same time, it comes on a lot of costs as well. Somewhere down the line, I also think it's more of the identity of the club. For example, you have got so many big historic clubs like Barcelona. They have the biggest European stadium in Camp Nou. You take an example of AC Milan and Inter Milan. They have the San Siro Stadium. But again, when it comes down to the teams building a new stadium, somewhere down the line, it feels like, the fans might not be a part of the history over there. They lack history into the new stadiums. So moreover, fans prefer to have the old stadiums, the old environments, and the passion for the game.
So basically, you're saying that the players come and go, however, the stadiums, they stay there, and they're basically the history of that club. And then you're saying that all the technology that's been implemented is not a necessity because the fans are just going there to watch the matches. However, these features that are implemented are just like an external revenue source for the clubs.
Yes, exactly. I mean, yes, a technology is needed. Today's world, you do need technology. But at the same time, it shouldn't come at the expense of the core support or the core feeling that you have when you go for a football game. I understand you have to have technology when it comes to the safety of players, the safety of fans. But when it comes to people going into the stadiums and being on the phones, it's not really what football has been famous for. You need to go there, you need to support the players, you need to support the team, you have to go for the chants, you have to sing along with the crowd. That's what makes an experience rather than going there, logging into your Wi-Fi. I don't think it's the right way to go about it.
I was going to hold you there for a second and goes back to Lorenzo. Lorenzo, do you have anything to say to this?
Yeah, I think Wi-Fi is very strategic for a club because they can collect a lot of data from it. They can monetize also it because they can send a lot of advertisement and fans can buy merchandise or also tickets, season tickets, and through this way they can monetize a lot of it, increment their revenues.
I just want to thank Lorenzo and Sushant for the time, and after this we're going to talk further more about the topic with Warren and Swapnil. Welcome back. On my left, I have Warren from South Africa, and on my right, I have Swapnil from India. So my first question is going to be to Swapnil. So Swap, clubs today are spending more and more money on digitalizing stadiums.
Yes.
What do you think of this? Do you think it's beneficial, and can you give examples as well?
I think it's a good idea from the future point of view. We have examples like the Atlanta Stadium where we can have a big 360 degrees screen where you can watch the match from any point in the stadium, and they are doing like that, sharing the Snapchat story over the screen in between the games so that we can have better fan experience, engagement with the fans from the business point of view. So I think it's a good idea. Another example is Allianz Stadium where we have VR experience, AR experience. There is one podium and you can stand in front of the podium. The player will come from behind and you can have a perfect picture of it. So it's a great experience for the fans also. And by doing these activities, we can have a better social media interaction with the clubs and fans, which in turn will be a positive thing for the business increase and all the things.
So overall, you're saying that the expenditure on stadiums is on digital aspects is beneficial to the clubs as they're bringing the fans closer to the club, making them more loyal supporters.
I can say that it's going to be the beneficial for the clubs as well as the fans in the future because it's a direct involvement of the fans as well as the clubs. So you can see the interaction between both the parties, and it's going to be a good thing for the business also.
And Warren, what do you think? Do you think that the clubs should be spending money on other areas, or do you think it should be solely prioritized and digitalized in the stadiums?
I think there's certainly some benefits that can be taken from digitalizing stadiums, but sometimes I think clubs focus too much on this and spend too much money on these sort of developments in the club when there's other things that they could rather spend the money on for a better return on investment. For example, they could improve their training facilities, like we saw at Tottenham Hotspur before building the new stadium, they completely renovated their training stadium. Before building the new stadium, they completely renovated their training facilities, which are now one of the best in the world. And also, clubs could develop their CSR programs, which it doesn't cost that much, and it can have a huge benefit on the community and the brand image of the club. So yeah, I think definitely clubs should consider all the different possibilities that they can invest money in before just thinking about the stadium development.
And also, I'm aware that you wanted to talk about something else regarding the movement of stadiums, as I heard that like the Arsenal, when they moved from Woolwich to Highbury, there was like they're leaving all the fans behind. So do you think like what do you think this has like the impacts on the teams, like the fans, the supporters?
Yeah, I think clubs are deeply connected with their communities, and often when clubs have to build new stadiums or move to new stadiums, it means that they have to change the location, and in some incidences this means that they have to move very far, which can completely change the community that they're involved in, and that can create a disconnection with the fan, which is obviously not good for the club, and it means the atmosphere in the new stadium could potentially be much worse than it currently is. We saw this with West Ham when they moved from Upton Park to the Olympic Stadium, and now in the new Olympic Stadium they're having many difficulties filling the stadium and creating a positive atmosphere during matches.
So Swap, continuing on Warren's like point, in America we see a lot of franchises like owned by stadiums,
Yep.
and the owners of these stadiums wouldn't like, they would just take a team from one city to another and they would not care about the fans.
Okay.
Do you think that what impact do you think this will have on the fans? Do you think that they should remain and like the clubs should belong to the fans, or do you think the owners should have the right to move a stadium from one part of like a location to another like entirely new city?
Okay, we can think of that. It's basically, let's take an example of the Barcelona. If you think of moving out a Barcelona team to out of the Catalonia, and maybe we can think of that like we can relocate the team in the Catalonia. But if you think of relocating it out of the Barcelona and moving it to the Madrid or some other city in and around of the Barcelona, so maybe it can be a problem for the business, because most of the fans are coming from the Barcelona territory, and it's better to have a stadium there to get most of the business and generate more revenue over there.
Furthermore, like today, stadiums are spending more money on healthcare and security within the stadium, as well as concessions and like food and beverages and like the decrease in the pricing. So what is your overall like view on this?
I think stadiums should spend more and more on such topics like security, health, or food and beverages, concessions, as you said earlier, because overall the security of the fans and player is going to be the key for the business. Like if they are safe enough, so we can have a better experience for them within the stadium. And as far as we are concerning with the food and beverages, it's going to be a main source of income in the future for the stadiums, because more and more fans are coming to the stadiums. We are attracting them to the stadiums, but the challenge is to how we're going to sell them the product. The ease of selling is going to be the key for the business in the future. So I think we should more focus on this point.
And would you say that the Atlanta Falcons, they've implemented this like idea, this strategy? They've basically decreased the pricing of all their food to like $2 pizzas, $5 beers. Would the fan-first-based price strategy increase revenue in the long term for the Atlanta Falcons? And do you think that the other teams would take on this strategy and implement it themselves?
In my opinion, it's a good point, like to have a long-term strategy towards the fans, because without fan there is no sport. It's a most important part of the sports business, and we should focus more on the fans and things around them. So having a specific strategy for the food, beverages, cutting down the prices, it's going to be the price-sensitive market towards the fans. And yeah, I think so. It's a good strategy, and more teams should follow this strategy in the future.
All right, and Warren, do you have any rebuttals there?
Yeah, I think it's definitely opportunities to grow revenue with improving the concessions within stadiums. but I don't think you necessarily need modern stadiums to do that. If we look at stadiums such as Old Trafford and Stamford Bridge, which haven't been renovated for many years now, but they're still operating very efficiently. So I think you can take the existing stadiums and find cost-effective ways to implement these new ideas and new solutions into the stadium. So in the end, you have a hybrid between traditional stadiums and modern stadiums that gets the best out of both.
Well, there we have it. Are you for or against modern stadiums? I'd like to thank Warren on my left and Swapnil on my right again for their time.